Deleuze waving his right hand and looking at the crowd. I'm not sure what that was all about. But this kind of gamesmanship is not unusual in a Gary Stark fight. He plays a lot, taunts his opponent on occasion. That's his idea of having fun. It works for him.
And Deleuze just jumped off his stool. So he's full of fire anyway. And he comes out swinging. Really picking it up here. No jab. Just trying to bull his way in. Stark really able to take that little step back. And now it's Gary moving forward. Working off the jab. Gets hit in the exchange on the way in. Nothing serious. Deleuze has to pick up the volume, pick up the offense.
Yeah, he's just not fighting enough to win these rounds 2 and 3. Stark is like all good boxers. He'd much rather his opponent come to him, makes his job much easier.
Yeah, it hasn't been happening.
And Deleuze isn't coming to him.
And that's why, as we mentioned, he has to chase him down a little bit, but he's doing it measured. In measured steps, very much under control, very smart aggression. Now that we're talking a little bit more.
What's helping Gary Stark's defense is when Deleuze does punch, sometimes it's real wide.
Absolutely right.
Stark sees the shots coming and just keeps his hands up.
There's a left hand on the way out from Deleuze. Nothing serious. Over the top with a right goes Stark. Stark bangs to the body and they wrestle a little bit. Teles Asimenios sees they're still punching. No need to break them. Stark, good combination, solid as he rips through the gloves of Deleuze. Deleuze wide with his shots again, very wild. Stark walking in with a left hand, then followed by a right. Not a lot of straight shots from either guy right now.
Stark does a good job, though, mixing up his punches, body, head, body.
Yeah.
Always does.
Even leading to the body again. I like that jab to the body. Not an easy thing to do effectively. Stark is in the orange. All black is Robert Deleuze of Providence, Rhode Island. 10-8-2, 9 KOs.
And Nick, what's amazing is that at this point in each fighter's career, they've never fought each other. There are not a lot of 122-pounders on the East Coast. It was inevitable that they would fight each other eventually. I would have guessed it would have come a lot earlier than this.
Stark just being elusive now. Now measuring. Big flurry. Corner wants him to jab. Good counter from Deleuze. Deleuze can't pull the trigger there as we finish the fourth. Oh, nice hook before the bell by Gary Stark.
He's got to fight. You need to go to work.
Not no more.
It ain't that difficult, baby.
Yeah, he got nothing no more. You got it?
Action from round 4. Gary Stark aggressive, but Deleuze pretty slippery. Won't let him really get any offensive momentum. And that left hook kind of caught Stark a little bit off balance. He stumbled. He wasn't hurt, as you can see by the fact that he came right back.
Nice and sharp. Stay sharp. I ain't gonna put up with no more. Go forward and you get him. Come on, please.
Need the water. Need the water.
You know what I like about Deleuze, he's never stopped trying in this fight and really doesn't believe that he can't win the fight, but comes bouncing off the stool, ready to go, but again, he's got to pick it up a little bit more. He doesn't have the skills that Stark has, it's apparent.
Yeah, that's about the point I was going to make. He's 20. He started boxing at 20, 21 years old, and had only about 30 or 40 amateur bouts. And it shows. He punches too wide. And he's fighting in spots. You know, when you weigh 122 pounds, you have to be a little busier. And I think that ultimately, if this fight continues the way it's been going, I think that's going to cost the Luz on the cards.
Oh, I'm with you there. Stark avoiding shots. Very economical with his own. Ripping to the body with a lead right hand. So taking the kind of liberties you could take when a guy isn't punching back. Enough.
Yeah, Stark just seems to have a little better idea of where to place his punches. And Gary Stark always punches in combination.
One thing I like to see, Steve, in the progression of a fighter, and Gary Stark in particular, because he's the guy with the upside here, you would think, is creating some openings, maybe setting some traps.
It's tough. He's having trouble scoring consistently because his man is giving him so little to work with.
How so? Not able to counter because he's not doing enough, or do you think he's that elusive or covering up or defensive?
He keeps his hands up, and when Stark comes forward, the Luz moves backward. Look at the distance right now. Neither guy could land a jab from that distance. It would be pointless to jab. You're only going to get countered. And they're at that distance because the Luz keeps stepping back.
Well, Gary Stark definitely has the hand speed on Deleuze. He hasn't been using any kind of feints to maybe get Deleuze to bite on one and then counter him. They're missing with the counter shots.
Now, what was that about? Stark spit. It didn't look like he was spitting his opponent, but it didn't miss Deleuze by more than a couple of inches.
I would split the difference there between the mat and the opponent.
And a poor photographer also got it.
Stark, double right hand. And
now a photographer gets blamed for Deleuze tripping over a camera. It's becoming a little bit of a problem here.
Flurry from Stark to the body. Closing out this fifth of a scheduled 8-rounder. Gary Stark from Brooklyn. Dominating this fight. Doing it by outboxing Bobby Deleuze.
I got that one.
Action from round 5 as we enter the second half of this fight. Now, what was the deal there? Was Gary Stark spitting at his opponent or not? There was a look of a photographer like she looked at Stark like, are you joking? When Gary Stark did that. Can't read intent. Only fighter I've ever seen spit on another fighter, Nick, was Tony Ayala Jr. after he knocked out an opponent.
Yeah. Never a good idea.
No.
Let's see if Stark gets back on the jab. A lot of his left hands have been the hook variety that have landed. And if the punch is there, why not take it even as a lead? Hooking to the head.